Why did so many excellent schools in New Jersey, including Princeton, have such high PARCC refusal rates? Because PARCC is a failure, and it forces schools to teach Common Core. Common Core lowers academic achievement by 2 grade levels, says world-renowned education expert and scholar Dr. Sandra Stotsky. And it prepares kids for community college, not 4-year schools. Dr. Stotsky refused to validate the standards. Stanford professor James Milgram says the math standards are subpar, written at a very low level, leaving kids less prepared than they are now. Dr. Milgram refused to validate the standards. Even the lead writer of the Common Core math curriculum admitted that the standards are lower, not higher, and that students taking Common Core would be precluded from attending elite colleges since the core is not aligned with expectations at the collegiate level. PARCC tests are written by people who aren't required to have a bachelor's degree, and they're graded by temp workers recruited on Facebook and Craigslist. So our kids are being evaluated for college and career readiness by people who aren't college ready themselves. But they said our PARCC scores were above average, so does that prove that our kids did well on the test despite its flaws? Well, the PARCC score sheets you got are meaningless and misleading. Nowhere does it tell you how many questions your child answered correctly. They use a made-up scale and smoke and mirrors to hide the real scores. For example, one PARCC raw score report showed that getting 28% of the questions correct in the geometry section was equal to a 4. Normally 28% would be considered an F, but PARCC calls it above average. Kids aren't doing poorly because the test is rigorous. If you took a practice PARCC exam last year, you know the questions are convoluted and confusing, and sometimes there's no correct answer. So it's no wonder kids didn't do very well, and it's not surprising that PARCC doesn't want us to see the real scores. PARCC wastes valuable classroom time that could be spent learning. PARCC gives no useful information to teachers for educating our kids. Students have moved on to a new grade by the time the results are in. Our kids need real-time feedback from teachers, not bogus scores a year later. Despite all of this, our district is using PARCC scores to change our blue ribbon curriculum to align it with PARCC and Common Core. The best way to stop Common Core from destroying the quality of our children's education is to refuse the PARCC test. Just email your child's principal and teachers. There are no consequences for refusing, and it's not required for graduation, and our schools won't lose funding. Best of all, your kids can be productive and study during the test. The more people who refuse, the less disruptive this test will be. In Princeton, where they had that high refusal rate, they held regular classes. In our district, schools were disrupted for weeks. For more information and support, visit WWP Cares About Our Schools on Facebook. Look in the File section to find a refusal letter you can use to notify your school, and dozens of links to supporting documentation for all of the facts listed here. You'll also find links to other helpful websites. Protect your child's education and refuse the PARCC.